What's up, you guys? Welcome back. This is part 2 of my 12-step experience, specifically talking about NA, like Narcotics Anonymous. I moved my microphone a little farther away from me because I am so friggin' loud. I feel like if somebody is listening to this wearing headphones, I'm going to blow your friggin' eardrums out. So, asking again, y'all, please, if you're listening to this or you're watching this, please let me know how the sound is down in the comments. I appreciate it. Plus, it pushes my videos out. If you comment, it lets YouTube know that people are actually watching my videos and interacting with them. And they will put it out there for more people to see. Let me get situated here. I wore this shirt today. I don't know if you guys can see it all. It says 1 is too many and 1,000 is never enough. It's a NA saying. Oh, and that was like one of the first things that I heard in NA that I was like, damn if that ain't true. Because if you think about it, 1 is too many. 1,000 is never enough. Man, that sums up addiction for me. That puts it in a nutshell. 1 pill is too many. 1,000 is never enough. So I can't take 1 because that's too many. I can't control it once I take 1. And 1,000 is never enough for me, meaning that I can't get enough once I take 1. So this is one of my favorite shirts to wear. I get a lot of questions when I ask that. Or what, I get a lot of questions asked of me when I wear this shirt. I'm going to show this window. Because they're doing some logging on stuff up at the end of my road. And for some reason, there's a guy that drives a dump truck that thinks he needs to ride his Jake brake all the way down my road. I don't live on a hill, for those of you that are going to ask. Anyway, if you're new here, hi, my name is Jessica. If this is your first video of mine that you've ever watched, there's a part 1 to this video. So I don't want you coming into this and not knowing what the hell I'm talking about. Because if you come into this video and you haven't watched part 1, you're going to think that I'm just bashing NA, and I'm not. I'm going to say this again. I said it in the first one, but I just want to say it again. If you are new to recovery, if you've been in recovery for a long time, and NA is your recovery pathway, it's something that you do, it's something that you love, please do not think that I am attacking that. I support every recovery pathway that is out there because I'm a firm believer in the fact that there's 1,000,001 ways that people get into addiction, and I believe that there's 1,000,001 ways that people can get out of addiction. And it's not up to us to tell anybody else what is right or what is wrong. I just wanted to make this video to kind of clear up why I vocally support NA and why my recovery started within the rooms of NA, but I no longer go to meetings and I don't attend a 12-step program as part of my personal recovery pathway. So just to kind of catch you up. But if this is your first video or you just clicked on this or whatever and you haven't watched part 1, I highly suggest you go back and watch part 1 because this will make a lot more sense then. But if you're new here and you decide to just keep on watching this, hi, my name is Jessica. I am a woman in long-term recovery. I suffered with an addiction mainly to opiates, but I wouldn't really say no to any drug for 14 years. And now I'm in recovery and I live a life that I never thought would be possible. And I say that all the time because even now, years into my recovery, it catches me off guard every day. I wake up and sometimes I really have to like pinch myself to be like, yeah, this is really your life. Because I went from asking God to take my life every night before I went to sleep to waking up every morning and just being excited about my life. I get to spend my days helping other people, talking to other people, teaching other people how to administer Narcan. I'm a certified peer recovery specialist. I'm a Narcan trainer. I just get to do things now that I never thought that I would be able to. So I'm extremely grateful for that. I am your token super grateful addict in recovery. So if you're watching this now and you are still fighting your addiction and you're thinking that you can't find your way out of it, I'm here to tell you that you can. I'm also here to tell you, before I get started into the second part of my NA video, all of my contact information is always in my description boxes below. My email is down there. There's a link to my Instagram account down there. My DMs are always open. Please don't hesitate to ever reach out if you need help. If you need Narcan sent to you, if you need to be trained on how to administer Narcan, if you just have general questions, whether you are in an active addiction, whether you're in recovery, whether you have a loved one that's in active addiction, anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. If I don't know the answer to the question that you are asking me, I will find the answer for you. So that being said, last time I tried to talk more about like the things that I loved about NA, and today is going to be, unfortunately, the reasons why I don't go to 12-step meetings anymore. And like I said, I just want to reiterate, you know, this is my personal experience. I just got to a point in my recovery, for several reasons that I'm going to tell you, where Narcotics Anonymous just didn't work for me anymore. That doesn't mean that I don't think it isn't a good program. That doesn't mean I'm not saying, you know, that doesn't work. I'm not saying that at all. So if you find yourself wanting to try any 12-step program, because there's more than just Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous out there. Like, there is a wealth of 12-step programs out there. If you find yourself wanting to try a 12-step program, or you're already trying, you know, participating in a 12-step program, keep going. You know, you do what works for you, and if it works for you, I'm all for it, and you should be too. Don't ever let anybody tell you what is the right and wrong way for you to recover and live your life, because that's just bullshit. It's nobody's business but yours how you recover. Don't ever let anybody do that to you. So don't take that as what this video is, because that's not how I intend it. Like I said, I just want to explain how my recovery started, why it started in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, and why I no longer go there. So that's why I said go back and watch my first video, because I explained how I started there, you know, what I wanted from it, what I was getting from it, etc. And now we're kind of to the point about why I no longer go to Narcotics Anonymous. And this is kind of a hard video for me to make, because I got really attached to a lot of people in my home group. And I will tell you one thing: if you are going to go to any 12-step meeting where you have to get a sponsor, or, you know, work any type of steps or anything like that, I just want to remind you guys, I just want to, I guess, caution you, if you are doing a 12-step program, or if you're thinking about it, I just want you to remember that when you choose a sponsor, just please remember that that sponsor is no different than you. So don't put your sponsor way up high on a pedestal, because even if that sponsor has more time in sobriety and recovery, they use the word clean, and I hate that fucking word, so I won't say it. I try really hard not to say it. I'll put it that way, because sometimes I do slip up and say it. But there was a time in that person's life, your sponsor's life, that they were a newcomer, where they had one day sober, And they walked into that room just the same as you did. You know, they went through withdrawals just the same as you are. They did the same shady shit just the same as you did. Everybody is the same, especially in Narcotics Anonymous. You know, the story may change a little bit, but pretty much it's all the same. You know, we all got addicted. I would say 9 out of 10 of us all have trauma in our past, and once we realized what using drugs or alcohol or eating or whatever our addiction was would make us feel like, and how it would help us cover that trauma up and make it easier for us to quote unquote not or deal with. We weren't dealing with it, we were just covering it up. You know, that's where our addiction started. We all would do shady, crazy things to feed our addiction. So just remember that about your sponsor, okay? Don't put your sponsor up here on this pedestal because they have X amount of years sober and you don't, and you know, they've already worked the steps and they've had their sponsor for this amount of time. And don't do that, because they're human too. And they make mistakes just like we do. So please just remember that, because in my experience, a lot of people have trouble with that in the NA program. And I know that that is one of my biggest hurts from the NA program. It comes from the lady that used to be my sponsor. So one of the biggest things that I don't like about NA and that made me stop going was that they are an abstinence only program, and there's a lot of shame that goes on inside of Narcotics Anonymous if you choose any other recovery pathway except theirs. And by any other recovery pathway, I mean if you choose to smoke marijuana, if you choose a maintenance program, they will shame you. And I don't stand for that. I've seen people go back out and relapse because of the shame that they've had to face within the rooms of NA. And, you know, the steps that you go through in a 12-step meeting, NA in particular, are they're supposed to be very character building. You ask God, I'm going to look down at my notes here, but you ask God or your higher power to remove your character defects, to remove your shortcomings, and to, you know, improve your conscious contact with Him or your higher power, to help you admit all your wrongs, things like that. That's character building. So in my opinion, for me, well, let's say it that way. When I was in active addiction, I was a shit person. I was a very angry person. I would very quickly just snap off at you, and I didn't care if I hurt your feelings. I didn't care what you were going through. You know, I just didn't care about other people. I was a very mean person. I didn't stop to think about what was coming out of my mouth and the effect that it was going to have on someone else. I didn't care if I hurt your feelings. I didn't care if I made you mad. I didn't care about what you were going through, whether it was an obvious thing that you were going through or if it was something, you know, secretive, because people are always going through things that other people cannot see. I didn't care about that. All I cared about was me. I was very selfish. And it wasn't really that I cared about me. I just cared about, you know, whether I was able to get high or not, to be honest with you. And I was a little bit nicer when I was high, but God help you if you were around me and I wasn't high. Because then I was just not a nice person at all, y'all. And, you know, looking back on it now, it's something that I'm not proud of at all. I'm very ashamed of it. My daughter bore the brunt of that because, you know, she lived with me. I tried very hard to like hold that part of my personality back from her, but a lot of times that just ended up in silence. You know, so that's not fun either. But when you get to NA and they start, you get a sponsor. And even if you don't get a sponsor, you know, when you're in meetings, when you're hanging out with the NA crew, you hear about steps all the time, you know. But anyway, you hear about these steps. And if you look at any of the steps for NA, you realize that what they're trying to do is get you to be accountable. Be accountable for what you do. From like this moment on, they want you to take accountability for all the things that you did in active addiction too. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But in my mind, if you're going to build your character and try to be a better person, then I'm not going to, that's not character building if I'm going to shame you because you're going to do things differently than me. In my mind. And you know, NA people will fight me on this and fight me on this. They fight me on the step thing that I talk about every time I talk to an NA person. Another thing that they fight me about is the very first step. The very first thing that I was ever told when I walked into an NA meeting, my very first NA meeting, an old timer, and that's not me being disrespectful, that's what they call people that have been there for, you know, decades. They call them old timers. And I like this guy now, but at first, when I first met him, I thought he was an asshole. And he is, you know, he is kind of an asshole, but I appreciate that in people. They have, where Alcoholics Anonymous has a book, you know, that walks you through the steps and, you know, tells you. It's got all kinds of stuff in it. I would show you guys, but I loaned mine out right now, so I don't have it. But we have a basic text. Well, I had got a basic text, or I had one in my hand. So this old timer walks up to me and he flips it open. It open to a page that looks like this. Ignore this sticker here. And he says, "Do you see this page right here?" And I said, "Yes, sir." Because, you know, I was raised to have fucking manners. I guess he wasn't, but he said, "Do you see what's on this page right here?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "This is what you know about addiction. Not a fucking thing. So sit down, shut your fucking mouth, and listen." And he closes the book and hands it back to me. And I was like, Because I've been raised the way that I was raised, I took the book and I sat down. And I didn't say anything because this gentleman's old enough to be my granddad. So I was raised to not be like, "Who the do you think you are?" Because he is older than me, and I was raised to respect my elders. I have seen that happen in NA meetings so many times. You know what else they tell you in NA meetings? At every single NA meeting, that the newcomer is the most important person in the meeting. I was the newcomer. And actually, at that meeting, I was the only newcomer. So I can be selfish and say that right now. Yes, I was the only newcomer at that meeting. I have watched that happen to so many newcomers, and that newcomer turn around and walk off. Because here's the thing. When people are in active addiction and we decide that we want to get help, when we have reached the end of our fucking road, and we're like, okay, I need help. That window is so fucking narrow, y'all. It's so fucking narrow. And it can slam shut just like that. So quick. And I know that there are going to be people out there that are going to be like, "Well, you can't baby an addict and blah, blah, blah." And you're right to a certain extent. But you also don't have to be a fucking asshole. You don't have to come up to me and tell me that I don't know shit about addiction. Like, where were you when I was just fighting for my life the last 14 years? Because just because I laid down every night and asked God to please not wake me up in the morning doesn't mean it wasn't a fight. Every single day, it was a fight. So where were you? Where were you when I was laying awake at night stressing out because I was working 3 jobs and raising my daughter by myself and fighting this fucking addiction, worrying about how I was going to pay my rent and put food on the table for my kid and hide my addiction from everybody? Like, dude, you don't even fucking know me. And I know part of that is because of my personality. I know part of that is my addict mentality working against me. I know that. But I also know that there are certain ways that you approach people that work, and there are certain ways that don't work. And once I got some time under my belt, I went up to that dude and I was like, look, his name's Mike. I have an ex whose name is Mike, and I friggin', it's a thing, y'all. Like, I don't like that name. Sorry if your name's Mike. Like, I try not to hold it against you unless you give me a reason to, but it's like, it's a half a strike against you already if your name's Mike. I'm sorry. Not sorry. And I just told him, I was like, why do you do that to people? But for somebody walking in the door that is going through extreme withdrawals, that doesn't have even 2 hours sober yet, you know, I don't need you to flip open a fucking book, point to a blank page and tell me that I don't know shit and tell me to sit down and shut the fuck up. So there's that. And that guy didn't come to, he wasn't a home group member. He was there, I don't know, for some reason. I don't even remember why he was there. That's been several years ago. Like we all know, I have memory problems. So I've since sat down and had amazing conversations with that man. You know, and once I sat down and told him like how it affected me, he did kind of change his ways a little bit. And then some ways he didn't, because that's just his personality, and he is very set in his ways. He is one of the people from, you know, NA that does not believe in any other recovery pathways. He doesn't believe that you should smoke marijuana. I guess I'm allowed to say that on YouTube. He doesn't believe that you should participate in any maintenance program. You know, he's definitely an abstinence only guy. And that's just something that, you know, he's set in his ways and he's not going to change. So, and he'll call you out in the middle of a meeting for it. I don't agree with that. So, you know, I don't agree with them gatekeeping other people's recovery. Y'all know that's a big thing for me. I don't agree with right off being told that I don't know anything. I know that for me, coming into the rooms of NA, I was already, you know, my nerves are already just jumping everywhere. Not only because I'm physically going through withdrawals, but mentally because I'm going through withdrawals. All my depression and everything that I have been self-medicating is just crashing in on me. So, you know, my brain is just literally just going 1,000 miles a minute. But, you know, I'm just doubting myself already and thinking, well, you know, what am I doing? What have I done to myself? And, you know, my self-esteem is like this big, and then I go into a meeting and get told that. And then on the complete other side of that, I would go into meetings after that, and this was before I got my feet under me and was like, okay, we need to be getting up and like greeting these people when they would come in. I would watch people come into their first meeting ever at what became my home group, and nobody would greet them. Nobody would talk to them. I mean, you know, I have a different belief system, and no. And I felt like they should all know, you know, all the people that had already been there for years, or for even a fucking month. You know, if you've already been coming to meetings for a fucking month, I feel like you should know that when a newcomer walks in the door, that we need to be there for them, because that window, that door of opportunity, whatever you want to call it, is going to fucking shut, and it's going to shut quick. And there's a chance that they could leave that meeting because we didn't get up and greet them, and they could go back out there, they could pick up, they could use it, they could overdose and die. And if we would have just made that small effort to get up and greet them and be like, hey, I'm glad you're here. You know, can I get you some coffee? You want to go outside and smoke a cigarette? Can I get you a drink of water? Just something, you know, just people just need other people to see them, to notice them. And my home group just wasn't fucking doing it. And it got brought up a lot in group conscience, and everybody would pledge to make a difference, and the difference never got made consistently. So moving right along, something else that I didn't like, that I tried to change and they would not let me change. In an NA meeting, they tell you kind of like the rules, especially if it's an open floor meeting, which just means that you know, once they get through saying all the stuff at the beginning of the meeting, then the floor is open, and as long as nobody else is talking, you know, you can say, hi, my name is Jessica, I'm an addict, and then you can start sharing with whatever you want to share about. They ask you not to talk about, like, your drug of choice. You know, don't say, oh man, I'm really missing Oxycontin today, or I really want to smoke, you know, meth today, or whatever it is. Don't talk about your drug of choice, like in specifics or methods, how you used it, because that can be very triggering for people. That's fine. I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is when people share, you're not allowed to crosstalk, is what they call it. So that means that if I share something and I'm struggling with something and I get done sharing, let's just say Karen sitting beside me has more sober time than I do, has more recovery time, whatever you want to call it, has something to say to me, they won't allow her to say it to me. We have to wait until after the meeting. You know, I don't agree with that, because if you have something to say to me that can help me, I don't care if you have 1 day sober, a million days sober, a minute sober. If you have something that you feel like is going to help me in my recovery, please fucking say it. Please say it. Because if I have something that I feel like can help you, I'm going to tell you. And if it helps you, it helps you. And if it doesn't, then you can be like, oh, okay, well, you know, I think you're fucking crazy, Jessica, and that didn't help me. And that's fine. But if we're not given the opportunity to have that conversation, then we can't help each other. And that just baffles me. And people, NA people, are always like, well, Jessica, you can have that conversation after the meeting. That's true. But NA meetings are notoriously at night. And no, not late at night. If you're like 20, I'm fucking old, okay? So when I was going to NA meetings, I wanted to go to my meeting and I wanted to come home to my old man. Because I'm tired, okay? When I sleep in till like 5 in the morning. That's me sleeping in. So when I have a meeting at 8 o'clock and I don't get home until 9 or 9:30, my ass is tired. I'm fucking old, y'all. I'm not an addict, you know, in active addiction anymore. I want to go home and go to bed. I'm in bed at like 9 o'clock because I get up early in the morning. And after a meeting, you know, even if people aren't old like me, sometimes they don't stick around. So by you not allowing people to have crosstalk during a meeting, you know, this person that's sitting beside me, just as an example, you know, she's not allowed to say, you know, well, Jessica, I went through that when I was in early recovery, and this is what I did, and it really helped me. You're kind of screwing me in a way. You're not allowing her to show herself that she's valuable. And, you know, that's character building. Like, why aren't you letting her do that? And after a meeting, it's kind of chaotic. People are trying to clean up. If you are there because it's court order for you to be there for drug court or whatever, you know, you have to get your papers signed. Everybody's trying to clean out the coffee pot. Everybody's going outside to smoke. And if that person is a popular person at the meeting, then everybody is trying to come up and talk to that person. And the most important thing in my mind is if you would let that person crosstalk, how do you know who else in there that information, that advice might resonate with, that's too scared to speak up or too shy? And they come to meetings because they want help, but they're too shy to speak up, so they're not saying anything and they're not sharing yet. But if you let that person speak up, then it might help Bob over here on the corner, and they won't let it happen. They refuse to let it happen in my area. I'm just going to keep saying that. So that aggravates me. Another thing that aggravates me about NA that made me quit is they will not talk about going through withdrawal. They will not. You're not allowed to talk about it because it may be triggering to other people. While I understand that, I also understand that while I'm sitting in a meeting and I'm brand new in recovery and you're telling me that I'm not allowed to do a maintenance clinic, I'm not allowed to go and be put on a, you know, low dose of Suboxone or a low dose of methadone and be tapered off to help me get through the withdrawals. I also can't talk about it, so I can't ask you, well, how did you get through it? Is there anything I can do to, like, you know, a natural way to help alleviate my symptoms? Because let me tell y'all, if you've never been through withdrawals, it is the single worst thing physically that I've ever been through in my life. Self-inflicted. And I know it's self-inflicted, and I know there's going to be people out there that are like, well, you shouldn't do drugs. Well, no shit, Shirley. But I did, and this is what I had to go through. So, just because I shouldn't have done drugs doesn't alleviate my pain anymore. So, I was really looking for someone to help me, you know, and if you Google natural ways to alleviate opioid withdrawal symptoms, it comes up with a bunch of rehab centers. Well, if you can't afford to go to rehab, that doesn't do shit for you. And most rehab places won't take you when you're going through withdrawal anyway, so it doesn't do you much good. And by the way, if you want some natural ways to help you when you are going through withdrawals, before I make a video about it, please send me a message. And I have a lot of things that I can tell you that will help you. They don't get rid of it, unfortunately. There's nothing that you can do to get rid of it. You kind of just have to white knuckle it and get through it. But I do have a lot of things. Every time I hear something new, I write it down. So I do have quite a list of things that I can tell you that if you or a loved one or anybody you know is going to be going through or is going through withdrawals, please reach out to me and I can email you the list, or I can call you, whatever, and I can give it to you, and we can at least try to make you as comfortable as possible. So, I already said that I don't like, you know, some of the language that they use, like clean time. I do not like that they keep track of your time. How much clean time do you have? Well, I took a shower this morning, so I got 8 hours. I think it's bullshit. I think it was complete and utter bullshit, because it is not a competition between me and you to see which one of us can stay sober longer. And to me, that's all it is. I know that it's not supposed to be viewed that way. I know that it's supposed to be viewed as, what am I trying to say? Kind of like a certificate. What am I trying to say? Kind of like congratulations. oh, you made it to 30 days, you made it to 60 days, you made it to 90 days, etc. And I was so proud of my key tags. I have them hanging on my bulletin board. I could show you guys if I could pick the camera thing up and turn it around, but I can't right now. I have them hanging up there. I stopped getting mine after a year, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Because my year with NA is what broke it for me, kinda. But you know, I really enjoyed being able to stand up and get a key tag until one day I got up to get, I can't remember which one it is. I gotta look and see. Hang on. Oh, my 9-month key tag. I remember because it was yellow. And I stood up to get that 9-month key tag, and I turned around, and there was a girl sitting there that had got her 1-month key tag. And she was just sitting there so upset because she didn't have as much time as some of the rest of us did that night. And I talked to her after the meeting. And, you know, I had never met her before. So I assumed, you know, that she was like a newcomer because she had a white key tag in her hand. And the white key tag says, just for today. Every time I've gotten a white one, I've given it away to somebody. So I don't have a white one to show you guys, but it says just for today on there. And they tell you, you don't have to be sober to get it. You just have to have the desire. So after the meeting, we were outside. She was standing outside. I said, hey, you know, I'm Jessica. I just wanted to come over because I'd never met you before, blah, blah, blah. And we got to talking. So I asked her why she was so upset. And I said, you know, wasn't that long ago that I had a white key tag in my hand. And your 9 months or year or whatever will be here before you know it. And she told me that she had like 15 years just the other day. And that her sponsor had made her get a white key tag because she smoked a joint for her anxiety. So her sponsor made her give up 15 years because she smoked marijuana to help with her anxiety. Because NA is all or nothing. And that shit broke that girl. And that's when I stopped enjoying the key tags. So the very next one that I have hanging up on my wall, and the last one, is my year one. And the only reason that I got that one is because Danielle and Keith came to watch me get that one. So it meant a lot to me here. Especially having them two there. It meant so much to me to have the two of them there. But that whole conversation standing outside with that girl that night broke my fucking heart. To have all of her recovery time taken away from her like that. And then not long after that, a girl that was in my home group, I won't name her here, not that I think she's watching my videos or anything, but just out of respect, she took a drink one night, and she had over a year. I don't remember exactly how much recovery time that she had, and she took a drink one night, and she gave up all of her recovery time, and she started it over. And I just do not believe in that. I don't believe in just losing all that you've gained and just pretty much giving up all of your hard work and telling yourself and everyone in your group that's supposed to support you that you are starting all over again. I think it's complete and utter bullshit, because when you do that, when you go back and you pick up a white key tag again, they make you start your step work all over again and everything. So that's saying, you know, That's like saying you haven't done any fucking work at all. And I just don't fucking agree with that. I don't agree with that. I do not like the entire anonymous thing, because if we had been, we don't need to be anonymous. There's no shame in us. There doesn't need to be, let me put it that way, there doesn't need to be shame in recovery. And I don't like anonymous. Like, it's in your very fucking name that you're telling us we should be ashamed of what we're doing. Not having it. So I don't agree with that. One size doesn't fit all in recovery. Like I said before, there are an infinite number of ways that people find themselves suffering with an addiction, whether it's gambling, food, drugs, sex, alcohol, whatever it may be. And I believe that there are an infinite number of ways through recovery. So I don't believe that Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, whatever Anonymous, and abstinence are the only ways to recover. I don't believe that. If that's the recovery pathway that you choose, I'll fully support you. 110%. Because I support everybody. It's not my place to judge. It's not my place to tell you how you recover. That's for you to decide. And I believe that we should all just find what works for us and what heals our soul and our mind, and we should stick with that. And if 12 steps is what heals you in here and makes you whole and happy again and able to go out here and enjoy your life, I'm all for it. You do you. Absolutely. It just did not work for me. I don't think that we should be telling them that they're not clean and that the only acceptable recovery pathway is abstinence only. I don't think that we should be treating them like they're infants and they don't know what to do. Because most addicts that I know in active addiction and in recovery are some of the smartest, most genuine people that I know. So I just feel like, the language needs to change. And some of their policies and procedures need to change, for lack of a better way to say that. This is a hard video for me to film because I have trouble, walking the line between saying my truth and it not coming across as me bashing NA. Because like I said, I think that it has such good potential. I think that if I would have been in a different area, it might have been a different experience. And I mean a different area, like maybe a different state. Because I did try to go, I actually went like 3 cities away from me to try to stay within NA as my recovery pathway. When I, when I felt like I was done with my home group after my 1-year celebration, my sponsor not coming, everything happening, all the little cracks and everything, and I was just like, I think I'm done. I talked to some of the women that I had met within the program, and a lot of them felt the same way that I did about my home group, and they had started going farther away, like 45 minutes away from my house where I live now. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll try that. And I think that might have been better, but at that time I was so disillusioned with the entire thing that I just needed to find something else. And so I did. find something else. And now, actually, that something else is me just doing this. I participate in a lot of groups that my counselor does. I actually, you know, with my counselor, I talk to my counselor almost on a daily basis. She's wonderful. Like, she's the one that I've talked about in videos before, Katie. She's done more for me than she will probably ever realize. I love her to death. I really do. She's fucking amazing, and I love her. She's great. I thank God every day for her, because she's just great, and I'm so blessed to have her as my counselor. I don't know what I would do without her. I'm really open about my recovery with everybody in my life, so you know, if I'm having a really hard day, I'm just really open with Keith about it, and I'm like, look, I'm struggling today. You know, some days I have to stay in bed all day. I'm open with Danielle about it. I'm really open with my dad and my stepmom about it. Sometimes they just have to watch me cry. You know, but for me, that is what works, is just being really open and honest about it. And sometimes that feels like being vulnerable, and that took me a long time to get to where I was okay with that. But you know, it's just like anything else. You just have to take baby steps doing something until you get to that point where you're comfortable with it. And you know, it's just something that you take those baby steps and take those baby steps until you get to that point where you're actually comfortable, and then it becomes like second nature in a way. It is still hard sometimes, especially for me, because I went so long without really having anybody that I felt like I could open up to and be honest with. And now, you know, gosh, I have like 4 or 5 people that I can talk to. It's overwhelming in a good way, but it's overwhelming at times. You know, to go from nothing to that, but I'm super thankful for it, and I just try to remind myself of it all the time. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. This is a super long video. Let's hope I can cut it down in editing. But I hope that answers some questions for you guys. Like always, if y'all have any questions or comments or whatever, please drop them down in the comment section below. Like this video if you liked it, share it if you want to share it, hit that subscribe button, it's that big red one down below, and turn on the notification button so it will let you know every time I upload. I try to upload on Wednesdays and Fridays. I would say at 7:30 in the morning Eastern time, but YouTube kind of messed me up the last 2 times, and it hasn't done it until like 8:30 or 9:30. So, but I do upload every Wednesday and Friday of every week. So turn on that notification button so you guys don't miss anything. And take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Stay alive. Test your supplies. Remember, we do recover. When you're ready, reach out. If you're still in active addiction, just be careful. Remember, don't gatekeep anyone's recovery. And don't let anyone gatekeep yours, because that's bullshit when we don't do that. If you guys need me, you know how to get in touch with me. All my stuff is in the description box below. And I'll see you in the next one.